welcome, friends. It's Cyndi with the Metaphysical Wisdom Podcast. I'm here with Kathleen Horvath. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Cyndi. How are you today? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm so grateful that you said yes to the invitation. I've been tracking you through all your offers recently, seeing that you're really busy sharing information and opportunities with people about the New Year, Chinese New Year of the Water Rabbit. So I'd love to have you share with us those highlights. And also, yeah, you have a lot of depth in Feng Shui. You've taught all over the world. You've studied. We have some things in common. We're both familiar with the 5-element system and astrology. So, I mean, this conversation could go in a lot of directions, and I'm curious to see where it will go. But I'd love to start with just inviting you forward to share what brings you alive and what makes you passionate about this topic. And yeah, how do you see it being really relevant now in the world?
Okay, well, we could be on here for days, but we'll try to keep it to just a short interview today. But yes, it is a very busy time of year. Around February 4th of every year, we have this big recalibration of person, space, and time. And what I mean by that, your person is your astrology, that we always start there, because what I do is a very personalized view of looking at all of these energies that happen. And then we will be looking at the space, which is the Feng Shui. And then there's a timing piece that's involved as well. So I look at this model. It's also called the Cosmic Trinity, where you're looking at astrology, space, and Feng Shui, and then time. And I have a proprietary calendar called the TimeBlazr. It's a personalized calendar based on your birth chart. So it really is dialed in a very personal way. So you'll probably see a lot of things on the web right now about, the rabbits and the tigers and the dogs, all the 12 animals of the zodiac. And what I like to do is, yes, address all of that, but really taking it to that next level. And that next level is looking at your space. And your space is, when you're looking at the feng shui of your space, it really is looking at achieving your goals. That's what feng shui is for. And another way of looking at it is when you adjust the proper alignment of your space and you get into the more vibrant areas of your space, and there's always some very good ones, and there's also some challenging ones. Here is really the quick way of getting yourself in a better positioning is get in those vibrant areas and avoid those more unsettling ones, because they're going to happen. Now, I'm specifically talking about the annual energies. The annual energies will give you quick results, and it will start actually, either enhancing your life and turning it into a direction that you want. But if you ignore these, and whether or not you embrace, like, oh, I'm going to be doing feng shui this year, whether you embrace it or not, those positive and challenging energies are in your space. So knowing that piece of information, I think, can steer you clear of some obstacles along the way. And then, of course, because we're right kind of at the time of this live interview, what we're doing is looking at a solar lunar calendar. So in the solar lunar calendar, we actually started feeling from the lunar calendar. We just had the lunar festival that happened on the 22nd of January. And then it's the culmination is 2 weeks later, where we look at the solar calendar. And this is where we look at the recalibration of your space. So it's an important time right now to start thinking about where are those best areas in your space. And I have these compass dials, and I'm happy to give those away as a free gift to your community. But here's the thing: you want to start thinking about where are those really good areas in 2023 during the water rabbit year? So I would be looking at, my favorite areas are the south sector, the southeast sector, and the north sector. So if you have a front door, an office, or an area of high activity, that's where you want to be in 2023, because you're going to have less problems. You're going to be more in flow with this incoming energy for a year, and then it's going to change into a different vibration. But I really want people to start thinking about another really big seismic shift, and that's called the period 9. It's a 20-year energetic. And this energetic is going to be very much important for everyone's space. And it is a north-south axis that we really are going to be looking at the most, but especially that south sector. The south sector is also considered the fire element. We also have certain animals that are sprinkled around the compass dial. And specifically in the south, there is the horse, the animal, in the zodiac, the horse. And if you have a horse in your chart in your year, month, day, or hour of birth, then you are already aligned with this particular energy. So here's the exciting news about the 2023 Water Rabbit. It's not just about these annual energies that I just said that it was about. It's actually positioning yourself and getting ready for this big shift of period 9. So that's why I want people to really focus on the south sector. If nothing else this year, you can't do anything else. What is in your south sector? So we want it to be inside of your floor plan first and foremost, and we want it to be a very usable area. So if it's like a bathroom or even a kitchen, that kind of drains out that energy a little bit. But if that's architecturally what you have there, that's what you have. And then but how you can enhance that would be making sure that everything works in your space, everything is functioning, not broken. And then if you have a space that is a building that you own or you have control over, then go to the south sector outside and then maybe enhance it with some nice landscaping so that it's very vibrant. Do not put exterior water, as in a fountain, a pond, a swimming pool. That's actually going to take out the fire. We don't want a fire-water clash there. So the thing that I really would love to see is, some really vibrant plants or some nice statuary of some sort, maybe even putting a fire pit. Those are nice and popular in the US anyway, right now. But if you live in an apartment building and you're on the 25th floor, well, then your limitations are going to start happening because of that. So you have to do the best that you can do. So that's actually some of the things that I'd like to address positively about the space. But the ones that I really want you to watch out for is the northwest sector. That has the more challenging energies this year. We also, and this is where we are looking at what's called the 5 yellow. The 5 yellow basically is a very, very strong energy that is kind of a like emperor, empress kind of energetics. And we don't want to disturb that. Those top leaders don't really want to be poked at. So what I mean by that is we do not want to do renovations. We do not want to be moving big pieces of furniture because that's going to activate that space. So after February 4th, the northwest sector needs to be as quiet as possible. So if you have a front door there or a garage door there, if you can avoid using it and find an alternate door, that's great. Again, if you live in an apartment, you probably have one entrance and one exit. Well, you probably might be a little bit frustrated by that right now, but if you do and it's located in the Northwest, you are probably going to encounter some challenges. So what I would do in that area is put a lot of metal. And the kind of metal I have, truthfully, because I can move it around from location to location, is, you know, those plates for lifting weights, the big heavy weights. And I just get those the metal plates, and I place them about 100 pounds. And I think that's around like 40 or 50-ish kilos. I'm not sure how wide your reach is, but you know, you can put in one of those calculators of how much metal you need. But the larger your space, the more the metal. If you live in a very palatial home, you may need more metal than that. But if you are going to use the metal weights that I suggested, you have to leave them there. They're not your workout weights anymore. They're a Feng Shui adjustment. So if you're going to do that, that would be one of the strongest recommendations I would make is that Northwest sector. Put some metal there to appease and drain that heavy energy that's there, which is the 5 yellow. The other sector that I would
you could do that outside as well with the metal, put something metal outside, or you're talking specifically indoors now?
You could actually do both if you had some sort of statuary, but I prefer it inside if you can. Now, you might have that sector completely missing from your floor plan, which we don't like, actually, because this is only a year's energy, and maybe on the long-term energy, maybe you're missing a wealth sector, or maybe you're missing a relationship sector. So we do want to have it intact. And that's, you know, and truthfully, sometimes when these things get triggered and you feel, oh my gosh, what is happening in my life? It's actually a life lesson that most likely could have been avoided when we think back of some of the things that we've had, but we've triggered something in the house or in your office that is now creating some issues that we can no longer avoid or ignore, if you will, right? So what we're trying to do is not trigger those and deal with them before they happen. But sometimes, you know, that is what's going to happen there. Another sector that I would be very concerned with, especially if you have health issues already, but we don't want to trigger health issues, is we don't want to disturb the east sector. So the east sector holds what we call the illness energy for the year. And so that's what I'm saying. If you're already immune compromised or have some sort of health weakened immune system, you know, it's an area that I wouldn't even want you to be in, spending a lot of time in. But again, this is where you can put another heavy weights in that area as well. So those are the two sectors that I would be cautious of. There's a few others, but those are the big ones. And then I gave you the big, you know, positive ones. So really, it's go for the gold, go where the energy's good. Sitting in the vibration of that north, south, or southeast sector, really beautiful. And you want to avoid the ones that are a little bit challenging. And every year they're going to be shifting into new areas. So this is a way where, I mean, I look at setting up my space as part of me achieving my goals. So do I want to sit where there's going to be obstacles and it's going to be so hard to achieve them? No, I'm going to get where it's more vibrant and easier for me to achieve them, easier for me to find resources like helpful people, or, you know, in the business world, it could be like an affiliate or a JV partnership, or a you know, it could be help from, you know, a coach or something like that you have found that you've attracted in this year, or a guru of some sort. This could be where you are using the space to help you achieve your goals. So I hope that helped as far as, and like I said, there's compass dials that I offer at no charge that, you know, you can put it maybe in your notes to get, you know, have them just go ahead and click on that, and they can, you know, DIY their space for themselves.
Yeah. Well, that workbook you sent me, I was really impressed with the depth of.
Oh, well, thank you. That was my annual event. That was a couple of weeks ago. Would you like to hear a couple of the animals on which ones are the good animals this year and which ones are the ones you should watch out for?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So, the top animals this year, I'm going to put even almost in that sort of number one area is the horse. The horse has what's called the moon star this year. It has several other things, and every single animal has some good energies and it has some challenging ones. So the goal on this one, on these animals as well, is for every person to try to do activities towards the positive ones, because if you don't, you could by doing nothing, some of the negative ones could surface as well. So we'll just talk about the positive ones though here, the positive of each of the animals, or the highlights of a couple of the animals, let's put it that way. So the horse I like because it has what's called a moon energy, and it is located in the south. So I like that south axis. So be in the south, and if you have a horse in your chart, yippee for you, because this will bring this energy of the moon. So the moon is specifically about research, doing kind of your business dealings behind the scenes, and you kind of want to keep those ideas a little bit closer to your chest. And then when you're ready to launch, then you take the market by storm. So this is also, you're going to be calling in helpful people, and the helpful people are, again, more behind the scenes. They're going to be more, just trying to help you be successful. They don't really care about any sort of outward validation. Now, it may come with a cost, as in you might need to hire a coach or something like that that's going to help you from the behind the scenes, but you should be able to attract in a person that's just right for you and what you need to do this year. What if you don't have a horse in your chart? Who cares? Go in and be in the south sector, and you can activate that horse energy. So you see how it companions up with your chart. If you have it, it's even better because you connect up with it. And this might be a good opportunity for me to tell you as well about the different pillars in a person's chart. So the year of birth, if a horse was located in your year of birth, it is going to be about your brand, like what is your outward image, your reputation. So that's your website, your social media, your networking efforts. It's about who you know and how to level up. And I'm telling you, if you have a horse in your chart, level it up this year. So really attend, because time is money, attend those groups that are really going to help you. It's also about your social circles. It's about those friends that say, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm great. How are you? And you're miserable. But, when you're talking to, that friend that's not so close, it's more of an acquaintance, but you do see them maybe at networking events or things like that. Or maybe you've met someone at some sort of function or celebration, but they don't really know you. So that is what the year of birth is about. But those people are the connectors and can help connect you to other people. Then, yes.
Okay. So I always thought that I was a horse. And then I realized I'm a snake because my birthday is January 20th. So I was going with the year 66.
So you have 4 colors in your chart. Did you run your chart through my software?
No.
Oh, okay. Run your chart through my software while I'm talking this out, and then we can talk about your chart a little bit. And that would be sort of like a hands-on of what like you would be experiencing and what others would be too, just to kind of see how it will all go. So do you want me to just say the URL, or you got it off of the workbook that you
You can say it for those that are
okay. So you can go to www.freebusinessastrology.com, and then just put in your email. It's gonna put you on my list. You can always opt out, and then you put in your day and time of birth if you know your time of birth. All right, I'm gonna explain like a little bit of the scenario here. So, okay, so we talked about the year, and then when you do your month of birth is about your character, if you will. It will be about your work and what you're best suited at doing. And so this one's actually a very important one. Like, you spend a good deal of your time, and it is about, anything to do with your career or your job if you're employed. Then your day of birth, that is about having your personal development, if you will. It's also about your partnerships, and mostly your intimate partnerships, but it really is about you and your decisions that you make. So it's a very, very important pillar to look at. And then the last one, if you know your time of birth, it's quite important because it is your investments. It is about how the money that you've gotten all through your life and how you use it to make your life better through investments. It's also about your goals and legacies. So this is your goal setting, how you are achieving your goals. And then it's also about your brainstorming ideas as well. So if you know all four of those and you put them all together, it actually paints a very interesting picture. So were you able to pick up your chart?
No, I didn't do it.
Oh, you didn't do it. Okay. Yeah. So going back to your question,
I will go do it though, and I do have the workbook. So I remember seeing this in the workbook, all these sectors you're talking about. So I'm excited to go back and fill that in.
Yeah. So basically, when you were saying you thought you were a horse, but you were a snake, you sounded like you were born at the end of January. So in that particular year, what had happened is you were born right before the transition from the snake to the horse. So you have what's called a very cuspy energy. Yeah. So I can tell you, the snakes have some nice energy this year. I'm really happy to see the energy of the snake there. And a snake is also a fire animal. So you also are getting ready for if you will, the period 9. And another thing, you're a female. Females are period 9 is very much about women's empowerment. So being a female, you are also there. Technologies, metaphysics, all of those are very much going to be front and center and focused. So people in those with those type of work or attributes will do quite well in period 9. You were born in the month of January, so you also have an ox in your chart. And so the ox this year is, I'm going to put that as a neutral sign, if you will. And then then we got to look at, do you know what hour you were born?
10:37 a.m.
10:37 a.m. So then you were born in the hour of the snake, actually. So you actually have 2 snakes in your chart. So that is where we're going to be seeing, and it's okay to have 2 snakes. But this is also very spiritual animal, if you will. So again, a fire animal, very spiritual. So, doing what you do is also quite important. And you're kind of following what you want, this path of metaphysical track is very well suited for what you were born with, and what and how you're bringing it to light. So I'm really happy about that for you. So the day is a little bit different because you can't, I mean, it's like I wouldn't be able to go back to the year that you were born and go into each one of those days. So that's why you'll have to run it through my software to do that. But that's how it can help you quite a bit. So so since we don't have your chart, I'm going to go back to some of the nicer animals and what they're going to be doing this year. So the other thing that I want to let you know about is the rat. The rat has what's called fortune virtue in 2023. And so so that's really about prosperity. And so the other thing that it's very good for is it's also a good positioning with one of the systems that we overlay on the compass dial without getting in too much detail, but it is activating also the period 9 energy. It's going to welcome in this energy this year. So again, I can't emphasize enough how important this 2023 water rabbit is, not only for the year, but to set your pace to get you going for period 9 and getting your systems in place and all of that. So the north sector.
Period 9, where is that come from? That because in
okay, so there is and we're going through a very, very unique time right now. Oof, are we going through a unique time? So there are 20-year cycles that make up a 180-year cycle, if you will. And these 20-year cycles we are in currently for the remainder of 2023, which is period 8. And you probably have heard the lucky 8s, and people, like the number 8 and 888. And, those are because it was a fortuitous number. Well, after this year, this period 8 is going to descend. The energy goes quiet for another 180 years as the period 9 ascends. So it is a pretty big seismic shift going from one period cycle to the next period cycle. And the period that we're in, again, won't see again for another 180 years, but this one is going into the cycle of metaphysics, big innovations, like, the thing that we see in technology, and the fast pace of technology anyway is kind of mind-boggling. But what we're going to see over the next 20 years is going to literally be out of this world. I mean, I do believe we're going to see things like flying cars, and I mean that, and believe it or not, well, you might already know this, but those are already being tested. One of my clients in Silicon Valley, and that's as far as I can go with that, they've been testing these for at least 5 to 7 years that I have been associated with them. So I know that this is, it's just not ready for the general public, right? So, we already know that self-driving cars are here. We see space travel. I wouldn't be surprised if we have the first works of living on other planets and things like that. It might be in test mode, but I believe we're going to be there. So we're going to see all these incredible advancements. We're also going to be seeing incredible new breakout stars in entertainment, which is fire, right? Visibility is fire. So anyone that's doing anything that would have visibility, a podcast, a streaming TV show, those kinds of things, those are all going to be, as we saw, and I'm going to even say, thanks to the pandemic, it has forced us to become more creative, more innovative of getting our message out there. And it has opened up many possibilities for small businesses like yours and mine. Anyone with the right effort and the right heart can be known on the internet today. And obviously it takes a good effort and work, but depending on why you're doing it and the motive of who you're trying to serve is important as well. But that is something that's going to be definitely on the rise as well. Like I said, metaphysics, why people are looking for answers. And traditionally, they're not finding them. So they're turning to these subtle energies, again, to people like you and I, to find the answers. And really, this is something that I have always said. I do the yin and yang of business. You need to come to me as a client. I do business feng shui. My clients are business people, top titans in Silicon Valley, all the way to solopreneurs, but and mostly entrepreneur, solopreneur companies is what I work with. But with that said, we are, definitely looking at, ways of, boosting that energy over these next few years. Especially the next 11 years are important for every one of your listeners to really get what they can to move up. But you have to come to me already with, willing to take the action, like your business plan, your marketing plan, if you're doing social media, your content creation plan of, what you're going to be doing. And I'm going to help you. And that's the yang side. That's the action part. And then what I help you with is the inside. The inside is looking at the subtle energies of your birth chart, looking at your space. Are you using it to its optimal level? And then, of course, launching your products, programs, and services with the TimeBlazr, my proprietary calendar, and that will help solidify this nice yin package. But we need to have the balance. For as much that's happening, if you are always doing yang activities and never tap into the yin, that's the quickest way to get sick, disease, burnout, failing faster instead of really analyzing things in a smart way. But there's so many tools, as you know, of helping people design the life that they want versus, oh, I've got this job and these are my duties, end of story. That's, I think, living life to a fraction of what is really your potential. So, okay. All right.
So now, basically, are you saying then that a 9 sector that we're moving into is about becoming more aware of the subtle energies that are actually the driving force of the physical reality? And when we start to engage with that yin energy of subtle, non-linear, quantum, let's say, source, that then we can start designing our life from the inside out versus trying to manipulate it from outside.
Right. Exactly. Although when you use the word manipulation, and I also use the word, when you're manipulating the space, or you are adjusting the space is a nicer way of saying it, that you're also like triggering that energy as well. So even though there's a physical manifestation, I'm moving my desk from this location to this location because that location's better for 2023. I am giving actually an acupuncture to the space. That's what Feng Shui is.
It's moving stagnant energy out.
And you're moving that stagnant energy. You're getting things moved. And how do we do that? We do that a couple of ways. We either do it through water activations, with, you're placing water in a certain area. You do it with fire activations. That could be where you're lighting a candle at a certain time. You're actually moving maybe a heavy object. And what I mean by that is, moving a big piece of furniture. And actually I have under much of my furniture, it's either on wheels or it's those furniture glider kind of things. Because if I need to do an adjustment, I don't want to break my back. or hurt myself. So I use something to assist me in that way. So anyway, so that's a definite good way to get that yin going, because when you do that, it is going to affect your inner sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, because our body and our inner bioflow is always communicating with the outer bioflow, right?
Right. Correct.
Beautiful. Well,
Correct.
it's really deep, and it reminds me of how what you said about when the pandemic came and everybody went online. That's what I saw, because I had been interested in something similar to Feng Shui from an Egyptian perspective called biogeometry. And I had read the book and wanted to take the courses, but they were in Egypt or, other parts of the world, Malta, different difficult places for me to get to.
Right.
And then with the pandemic, for the first time ever, the training was offered online. And so I was able to do it online. And so that's what I'm seeing in what you're saying, is that even though we were in an 8-year, we were at the end of the 8-year, in the cusp of an 8 and a 9-year, these things are already starting to take shape and reveal and point us in the direction of what's coming, is that we can access information from wherever it is, from wherever we are, if we have the interest and the desire. We just have to be receptive. And what you're saying, I think, is that we can arrange our environment in a way that is receptive, specifically for what we're made for. And by learning about what we're made for through our astrology and adjusting our environment to reflect that, we craft an environment just like animals in nature. They create environments that rejuvenate them when they sleep. And we've created our environments that make us sick if we're not consciously creating them.
Hello. I mean, it's also, you gave a perfect analogy of an animal's nest, right? So, every year around springtime, right? Most animals, I'm talking about landed animals at this point, in the sea, it's a little bit different, but they also, they're also moving their energy to get to
their habitat.
Yeah, their habitats as well that are protective and all of that. But most likely, now, an animal, depending on which animal it is, may return to that exact same spot to mate and procreate, but they're always spiffing up, and birds are the most fascinating to watch on this, a new nest. They don't go back to the old nest because it's old energy. It's already got, the stuff from last time they gave birth to their flock, their brood, whatever. So there's always a need for reinforcing something that might be weak, or bringing in some fresh energy, twigs and things like that for the bedding, so that the animals are safe, they're protected, they stay warm, and that they will nourish and flourish in the environment in which they are living for the short time that they're there. And that's exactly what we're doing in Feng Shui. We are rebuilding their nest. This is a perfect time, by the way, is going back to maybe what your parents did. I mean, I'm of that age group where we did a very big spring cleaning, top to bottom. We weren't really doing Feng Shui, but we were, unbeknownst to us, really. So it really is like, and this is also a great opportunity to go through your entire environment and what is no longer serving you. Thinking about that nest analogy, there are certain things that you do not need to pull into the upcoming year. So whether you say you have time or not, I would look at that comment before I would, look at all of your habits and where you are spending most of your time. This I believe should be a priority for everyone right now, is to really assess their space, like get things out of your environment that no longer serve you, and really take your pruning shears and edit out things, people, systems, getting rid of that clutter. If you need to hire someone to help you out. And especially I would do it in those three areas. Number one, I would do the north, south, and southeast access. And then if you are going to be doing anything in the east or the northwest, where we have those challenging energies, do it before February the 4th, because after, it's going to be too dangerous to do that. So do that first, if you will, and then do the north, because you can do the north-south, southeast access truthfully throughout the year.
Yeah.
But I like to do it, like I'm in the process of doing that right now myself, as I reset my spaces. I like doing it this time of year because, then I'm starting with a fresh slate. It's just like, I've got a fresh canvas now. What am I going to create? It's a great time to activate those goals. And being in those spaces, whether it's in your office or not, in other parts, if you've got a home office, and you're just go into those areas and spend time there. So here's another thing that people get a little bit, in my opinion, get wrapped up in, is that their office is set up and they're not going to change it because it's not convenient. Well, then you really are asking for old energy and old patterns, old karmic loops to continue to resurface in your life. And so being a little bit creative and have fun with it. That's the thing that I would really encourage people to do, is while you're doing this spring cleaning, look at it as a blessing. You're blessing your space. Open up those windows and, put in some fresh newness into the space, and really let that energy flow in and out through your space. Do this on February 4th and even on February the 5th, and get some of that new rabbit energy circulating into the space, invite it in, and start working on your goals. So because you do Feng Shui does not mean in any shape or form you need to stop taking action. This augments or your due diligence of taking action towards your goals.
Yes, thank you. And one of the things I found, I do work with my space in what I call zones, and each zone has an element of the 5 elements.
Right.
And I do a form of Qigong inside the space. And so I would say you can move your elements and space, but also it's what you're doing in the space, how you're moving, what your intention is. That if you don't have a Qigong practice, there are very simple, easy to do practices online.
Oh my gosh, amazing
means energy, Gong means work. So when we move into a space and do Qigong, it's like doing a cleansing on the space. It's like giving the space a shower. You're not physically moving objects, but you're energetically moving stagnant energy out just by the way you move your body through that space, and with your intention, of course. So I feel like that's just another invitation to bring this yin energy in, is that it's not just the structure of the architecture, but the quality of the space in it. And we have some influence over that by how we interact with. It's not empty, it's full of life force energy.
Yes.
We're always interacting. So yeah, I feel like that is something we can do every day.
I agree with you. I love Qigong. I've been doing it for years. I totally agree, because they're the same systems. Like you said, it's 5 elements and Qi flow, and so this is also, based on what you just said as well. with the 5 elements, and the 5 elements are from the system I use. I'm not sure if you use the same, but it's wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Some people talk about air, but air is wood. It would be a wood energy, if you will. And starting in February, we are going into the wood energy. We'll be leaving at the end of January. We're going to be leaving the water energy, and it's a water rabbit year. So the next time the water is going to come in to the chart, if you will be in December and next January. So one of the most predominant elements of the annual chart of the water rabbit is actually wood. So doing wood type activities are going to be very important. Doing a cleanse this time of year would be prescribed. It would also be doing something creative. These are the kernels of your innovation that you're going to be planting those seeds. Hopefully you've already got them planted, so they're already ready to sprout up and get going. But if you haven't, there's time right now. What are your goals for 2023? And get those activated. This is a great time for the next couple of months, is to connect with people. That's what wood is about. It's about connecting. It's also about learning. It's teaching. So, I know a lot of people are struggling right now, just because of what's happening in the economy, kind of that never ending pandemic, that, we're still dealing with that, and we will be for quite some time, astrologically speaking. It's not going to just magically go away. It is something that we do have to be aware of, but could be a great time to learn something new, because wood is going to be very supportive of that, of learning something new. And what I would say, if you are going to be in that, or hone a skill that you already have and become an expert at it, really, really dive deep and become that strong expert. And that's where I think it could help you, or your listeners. I think it would help to hear kind of some of these, when you're going with the flow of the seasons. That's also a rhythm that I would like people to think about as well. So eating a little bit, starting to eat a little bit lighter, those cleansing springtime foods. Eat with the seasons, and you'll be a lot healthier, and you'll be more vibrant, because you're getting those seasonal nutrients in your body.
Thank you for that. Yeah, very much. Living according to nature, because we are nature, really going back to nature, our nature. Not that we've ever left it, but our perception of being separate from it.
I don't know. I think a lot of people have left it. I do believe.
I don't know that we can. As a life form, we are it. I'm just saying, we
connecting, just connecting. But that would be a good thing to do as well, is get outside, get bare feet if it's a safe place for you to do that, and just get your toes grounded into the earth and connect with the earth. Get that grounding. If you ever feel off kilter, is right. Go and connect with nature. And if it's not something you do intuitively, get it in your calendar to make yourself a nature date. Take a sketchbook with you or a writing pad, and just be in free flow, play a little bit. That's what this year is calling you to do. Because we have some nice big work ahead of us. It's not that this is a year where we go, oh, okay, well, this is like that gap year. No, it's a very important year of planning, strategizing, and living your chart to the fullest. And obviously, you're much more than your year of birth. So finding out what those other animals are will certainly help drive informed decisions for you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I was reading in your bio about that you've studied Chinese metaphysics. And so I wonder, if you want to say anything about that, if we haven't already talked about it and how that comes into your work.
Well, so when I started studying Feng Shui, I have to be very honest with you. I was studying what was available here in the United States, and that was back in the late 90s, and there really wasn't a lot available.
The diamond,
you didn't know what you don't know, right? It's like how you found the Egyptian modality. Like, it took some steps to get there. That wasn't the first thing that landed in your plate, right? So then I decided that I was going to start studying, and I was studying, truthfully, just Feng Shui. It was a modality that was a standalone service, but I was finding, and it's what people will call, like, form school, or the Bagua system, which that really, once I started really looking into this, and I feel I'm very fortunate that I can commune with the universe, and I get messages. I just ask, and that's a practice skill, though, that if you don't feel like you have that, but I feel like my intuition is at a nice level. And so I actually got this message to interview some masters. So I did do that. And that's where I found classical Feng Shui, which took me to Asia to study. And that's where we started bringing in things like your birth chart. So every space is individual. There is no one space. It's like the snowflake. There is no one space that is the same, even if it had the same builder, the same housing development, if you're in one of those types of situations, because slightly your space is going to be influenced by the land specifically that you're on. Even if it's in the same neighborhood, you might have undulations that other people have. You might have sunken areas that other people have, and slightly your directions are going to be a little bit different. And there's going to be different people that occupy the space, etc. So everyone is unique. Every single one is unique. They don't exactly come together, even from the exact same floor plan. Therefore, there's a different reading in the analysis of the space. And what are you going after? That's another important thing to understand about Feng Shui, is like, you have to have, like, what do you want? What are you even Feng Shuiing for? So that might be for another discussion. But then I also discovered the grandmaster that I was working with at the time had said to me, have I done much with date selection? It's called Zeri, but basically it's favorable timing to take the right action at the right time based on your birth chart. And he said, Kathleen, I guarantee you, if you start using what's called the Tongshu, that's a calendar, a Chinese calendar, you will transform the lives of yourself and others. So I dove into that as well.
That's awesome. I'm sorry. Okay. I
So
apologize for the interruption.
Oh, that's okay. So then that last piece that I incorporated into my toolkit was, it's in Chinese, it's called Qimen Dunjia. And one of the things that I did for my clientele is I translated everything into standard business English. So I call it Universal Gateway. But basically, that is the spiritual side, the very spiritual side of, and the mother lode, if you will, of all of the systems, because you're using your body as the antenna, and you will put it in a certain direction to again, to commune with the universe and ask questions and manifest. And it is an incredible tool to look at to see if you're on the right track. So there is actually a chart, an hourly chart, a daily chart, a monthly, yearly chart, just like a birth chart would be. but it's a different system, but it's still, again, based on the 5 elements and chi flow and all of that. But you can also use this for strategies. You've got a launch coming up, or you want to see if something that you're engaged in, it could be a project or whatever, and it seems to be like not going well. You can pull a universal gateway chart, and then you can do a reading on that, or it's me doing the reading of an interpretation, what a person's blind spots could be, or where the opportunities that they might be missing. But blind spots can take a person down because they're not seeing maybe something that's right in front of them, or maybe even something that's invisible, but a chart will reveal that. So again, it's using these tools to help people make informed decisions so that they have an easier time with life, because life is messy. I mean, it can be very messy. So this helps smooth out some of the wrinkles. And so I use all 4 of those systems. And then, you know, as we talked about before, I also use Qigong for the mental, physical flow as well. I have to admit, I haven't really used it for the space, and I'm definitely going to try that. So thanks for that tip. I always learn something every day. So, and that's also, I think, an important thing to say is try to improve yourself, you know, that 1% every day. And that is a tip that I will take to the bank. I think it's a great idea. I use other space clearing modalities as well, but from the Chinese Metaphysical, those are the ones that I use. And acupuncture, I definitely do acupuncture as well, because that gets chi flowing as well. But you know, that most of the time is going to involve me going to an acupuncturist. I mean, I can do some acupressure points, but you know, to getting a full treatment, you go with the professionals. So anyway, that's what I have for you.
Well, thank you. That's beautiful. And it reminds me, when you were talking about using the body as an antenna, some of the practices we do in the biogeometry with our personal wavelength, we use a lot of radiesthesiology. It's like divination, working with pendulums to detect specific energies in the space and redirect them or upgrade them. And so I love that all of this is becoming, like, the invisible is becoming tangible, even though it's not physical. We have tangible ways of working with this, and it's something that's been known and done throughout history, and it's becoming popular again because of the necessity as we make this transition into whatever's replacing what's now. And obviously we're in a big year, a big cycle of letting go of the old, as you said, and welcoming in the new.
Yeah. And I believe that, you know, like yoga went, when it came to the Western world, it was like, oh, so, you know, like just the sort of weird, modality that came out of East Asia. And now, my gosh, it's like, you know, an absolute household word. Almost everyone has done some form of yoga or stretching or something, and knowing how, and that is my hope, that that Feng Shui, and I'm going to say classical Feng Shui because I practice both modalities. I would love to see it become as mainstream, and people starting to realize the importance that your space has an impact, good or bad, on your life, and just being a bit mindful of how you set your space up, and of course, you know, looking at your true potentials and living them. I think, you know, that's a study worth knowing on everyone's personal level of what their capacity is, and then go for it.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that you keep bringing this into people's awareness and business and personal, because we are a creative movement and our space is reflecting that, or not.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a mission.
Well, you're doing great. And I appreciate you stopping by to share your wisdom with us today, Kathleen. And
was such a
I'll put all the
pleasure.
links to your website and everything you mentioned in the description. And yeah, I look forward to hearing more about what you're up to and staying in touch with your newsletter. Just really
Well,
see
thank you.
the
Thank
quality
you.
you put into everything. It's really
Well,
impressive.
thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you
Appreciate
all for tuning in. And I hope you apply the wisdom that Kathleen has shared with us and bring forth some prosperity in your life and good fortune. Bye for now.